Noir almost always means crime, and where there's crime, there's consequence. So prison stories were only a matter of time. But Brute Force stands out. It's not just a film about an escape. It's about how we look at the people behind bars. In real life, it's easy to say, you did wrong, you pay the price, no second thoughts. But the film plays a quiet trick on us. It shows how a person, once inside the system, becomes the one under pressure, watched, pushed, broken, and suddenly, judgment fades. What's left is empathy. Yes, there's a plan to break out, but what matters more is, who are these men? Why are they here? What brought them to this point? It's not about the scheme. It's about what a person still holds on to when everything else has been stripped away. So why does it still hit so hard? That's what we're about to find out.
Nothing's okay. It never was and it never will be. Not till we're out. Get that? Out.
Westgate Prison. Cold, wet, and heavy with control. A place where pressure builds, on inmates and officers alike. Joe Collins has just come out of solitary. Back in the cell block, eyes follow him. Everyone is waiting, for letters, for news, for a change. But each day makes one thing clearer. There's nothing to wait for anymore. Officially, the rules are strict, but fear works better than any schedule. Captain Muncie doesn't just run the place, people are afraid of him. His methods rely on pressure, surveillance, and manipulation. He uses informants, turns inmates against each other, and slowly brings everything to a boil. Collins realizes he can't just endure it. The idea of escape stops being fantasy and becomes a plan. But that plan needs partners and timing. Inside his cell, each man has a story. Some broke the law for someone they loved. Some took the blame for others. Some just stay silent. But none of them feel like they were given a real choice. Tension grows behind the walls. Outside, the regime tightens even further. And above them, armed guards, always ready to act. The escape may be the spark, but the real story is about the people, what they carry, what they're willing to risk, and what happens when a person is backed into a corner with nothing left to hold on to. Why does brute force still hit this hard today? Let's take a closer look. One of the most striking things brute force does, and it does it quietly, is shift your sympathy. These men are inmates, yes. But as you listen to them, as you see how they speak, how they move, something changes. They don't come across as threats. They feel like people who slipped up, or were cornered, or tried to do the right thing the wrong way. The film gives them a voice. Each has a story, and most involve a woman. That's Noir through and through. Beautiful, strong, unforgettable, and sometimes fatal. Not just romance, turning points. The glimpses we get are short, but they land. You don't excuse what happened, but you start to understand it.
You better stop drinking, Doctor. Your imagination's working overtime.
Then we meet the real source of danger, and it's not the inmates. It's the man in uniform. He doesn't just enforce order, he performs power. He controls, manipulates, isolates. And he does it all with the full permission of the system around him. There's one character, though, who feels truly human, the prison doctor. He's the only one who still looks at the inmates as people. And he says out loud what we've been sensing all along. Keep pushing, and something will break.
Do you know what this prison is, Mr. McCallum? One big human bomb. And you say kick it and it'll be quiet. Smash it and it won't explode.
The cell where the story unfolds feels like its own world. There's tension, unspoken rules, a shifting balance of trust. Some speak, some watch, some hold on to whatever scraps of memory they can. It's a small society under pressure, and it behaves like a living thing. You start to see the edge. Brute force is stripped down and intense, almost like a stage play. The space is limited, but the pressure keeps rising. There's no spectacle, no heroics, just a quiet rage building. And at the center of it all is Burt Lancaster. He doesn't say much, but it's all in his face. The weight, the fear, the refusal to back down. This isn't a film about hope, but it's a film about clarity. It makes you think about how thin the line really is between guilt and simply being broken. And that still hits. This isn't a film for someone looking for an easy watch. It's harsh, dark, and heavy. But if you're drawn to stories not just about crime, but about people under pressure, about how someone behaves when there's no clear way out, then Brute Force is worth your time. It doesn't ask you to excuse its characters, but it gives them space to be heard. And at the same time, it shows how power works, not on paper, but in closed systems fed by fear and impunity. In that sense, things are pretty clear. There is cruelty here, and there's a struggle not to let it win. This is a film for those who love noir, not just for mystery, but for moral tension, for atmosphere, for the kind of questions that don't come with ready-made answers, and maybe also for those who appreciate when old films don't ask for forgiveness. They don't need you to be generous. They just speak directly, honestly, and they stay with you.